We have a lot of battlefield update and analysis in this video, and is there a better way to start than a Ukrainian military strikes on Russian armored vehicle convoys in Krasnohorivki, Donetsk region. The first ATACMS strike brought the Russian army its largest single loss of military aviation since the 1940s. The cost of destroyed helicopters alone is more than 6.5 billion rubles, or $70 million. Analysts of the Oryx project confirmed the losses of Russian aviation during the ATACMS missile strikes on airfields near Berdyansk and Luhansk on October 17th. 9 helicopters, 7 K-52 and 2 Mi-8, were destroyed. 15 helicopters, 8 K-52 and 7 Mi-8 were damaged. According to open sources, the K-52 costs $9 million and the Mi-8, $2.7 million. This figure does not include missile armament and additional equipment. The extent of damage to the other helicopters and the cost of repairing them cannot be estimated. ATACMS cluster warheads, which the AFU received, turned out to be a very effective weapon against aircraft on airfields. Military analyst Ian Matviv. Yes, their small submunitions cannot completely destroy every helicopter or airplane, but they can make holes in several places. The equipment that formerly survived and is listed as damaged will have to be repaired for a long time and at a high cost. The previous largest loss was the destruction of 7 aircraft at the Saki airfield in Crimea on August 9, 2022. Back then, a series of explosions destroyed Su-24 bombers and Su-30 fighter jets. Since the invasion of Ukraine, the Russian armed forces have already lost 59 K-52S, almost half of the fleet of helicopters of this model. According to the Military Balance Bulletin, the Russian armed forces had 133 K-52S as of 2022. Real combat operations have shown that the Alligator, widely publicized by propaganda, has shortcomings that lead to significant losses of these machines. Avdiivka is turning to become another Bakhmut. Putin is not sparing a single Russian life to conquer a small piece of land he will never go to. And the loss of Russian manpower and equipment is the same story. Russian military reporter Fatov provides 2 comments on the situation at Krynki, Kherson Oblast, where the Ukrainians have crossed the Dnieper to gain a foothold. The comments describe the situation as difficult and note the strong activity of Ukrainian drones and artillery in the area, preventing Russians from throwing Ukrainians into the river. Good morning. I'm a fighter of the 810th Marine Brigade, call sign Avust. I decided to write about the real situation at Krynki while I have connection. The Hohals work very hard with kamikaze drones and destroy any equipment in a fairly large radius from the shore, after which they cut us off from the support of the equipment and strike with cluster munitions at the places where our infantry is concentrated, preventing us from developing an assault. Our electronic warfare cannot cope with the Hohals drones, or it's not there at all. So those who are screaming that we cannot recapture a couple of houses there for so long, join us! Romanov and 2 majors are the only ones who gave a normal assessment of this situation, unlike the blogger Ossetian, for whom everything is always good. And yes, the military police near Radensk well understood all the hospitality and kindness of the Marines after stopping the loaf with the wounded. Glory to Russia! Greetings from the Marine Corps. We hold the defense on the left bank of the Dnieper. We are ousting the Ukrainians, and I want to say that it is very difficult. The Ukrainians constantly fire at us with artillery, using cluster munitions, and most importantly, they use a whole horde of FPV drones and UAVs with airdrops, which work around the clock, preventing the evacuation of the wounded and the delivery of ammunition. The use of small arms with a thermal imager against UAVs, as many advise, does not justify itself given this saturation with drones and leads to a quick shelling from the Ukrainian artillery. Therefore, I ask you to raise the issue of saturating this section of the front with electronic warfare to minimize our losses and counter Ukrainian UAVs. Russia has lost the global gas market for decades, the International Energy Agency says, having cut off gas supplies to most European countries in a failed attempt to secure concessions on Ukraine. Russia has lost its share of the global gas market for decades. With 30% of the global gas trade before the invasion of Ukraine, Russia will have only 15% by the end of the 2030, the International Energy Agency predicts. Russia's chances of finding new markets to replace the European market, to which Gazprom pumped 150 billion cubic meters annually before the war, are extremely limited, the IEA report stated, as quoted by Bloomberg. Attempts to negotiate with China to increase supplies and build the Power of Siberia 2 pipeline have so far failed. Back in March, during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow, President Putin offered to increase exports to the Chinese market 6 times, up to 100 billion cubic meters per year, and claimed that the contract was in high readiness. But neither in the spring nor 6 months later, when Putin himself came to Beijing on a visit, any documents on the Power of Siberia 2 failed to be signed. Earlier, it took the Kremlin almost 10 years to persuade China to build Power of Siberia 1 with a capacity of 38 billion cubic meters per year. Gazprom also has few chances to return to the European market. The Kremlin's gas blackmail forced the EU countries to reduce their consumption and find new suppliers. Demand for gas in the EU will drop by 50 billion cubic meters per year by the end of the decade, the IEA forecasts. Gazprom has no prospects for the next 5 to 10 years, Alexander Ryazanov, formerly the company's deputy chairman, told Bloomberg. According to IFRS accounts, Gazprom suffered a more than 1 trillion ruble net loss from July 2022 to the end of June 2023 and was forced to cut gas production by a quarter, an all-time record high in the company's history. Putin appears to have miscalculated when he cut off Europe, said Maria Snegovaya, senior fellow at the Washington-based Center for Strategic and International Studies. Putin's squad rise up against Halloween. Caution, high level of cringe. Make sure you watch the ending as well.
Мы, отряды Путина, категорически запрещаем Хэллоуин. Давным-давно жили кельты. И они были язычниками. У них было всего 2 времени года – лето и зима. 31 октября они отмечали приход зимы. И когда ирландцы привезли этот праздник в США, все обросло маркетингом. Отмечая Хэллоуин, вы делаете богаче чужого дядю или тетю. Думайте головой.
Я считаю, что Хэллоуин – это полнейшая безрассудица. Я, как истинный патриот своей родины, считаю, что у нас предостаточно наших российских праздников.
Мы против американских праздников. У нас предостаточно своих праздников, и у нас их еще будет больше.
Я как христианка, я считаю, это не по-христиански праздник. У нас своих достаточно праздников.
Я против этого праздника. Это не наш праздник.
Я против этого праздника. Он чувствует нашего разумения.
Я не знаю этих праздников и не хочу. У нас свои праздники.
Нет Хэллоуина.
Я лично против этих праздников, как патриот Российской Федерации.
Наши праздники прекрасные, и нам чужие не нужны.
Нет этой чертовщины. Это не праздник для нас.
Американские праздники нам не нужны. Мы хотим своих, российских.
Никакого Хэллоуина!
Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.